Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Things podcast. This is episode 11, technically season 2, episode 4. And I can't believe I put out this many podcasts at this point. Someone was asking me today how many I've done, and making it a weekly thing is definitely something I've come to appreciate. It's almost now like I anticipate preparing for the podcast in advance. So like Thursday, Friday, I start thinking about what I want to ponder over the weekend and what I want to put out into the universe. So it's been 1 week since you looked at me. No, I'm just kidding. Like I said, I'm enjoying the process, and this weekend, the past 3 to 5 days have been fairly heavy. So I think sharing a little bit of my mental, physical, spiritual process, describing the situation a little bit, and just how I use, I'd say what I would describe as my expanded heart, or at least I feel like I've always been kind of a wear your heart on your sleeve kind of person, but tried to stuff it down a little bit. So now kind of wearing that proudly, and then also knowing how to care for that, how to care for myself, I think is really huge. I think there's a lot of people who are sensitive in this world and would like to do the same, because taking care of yourself first and foremost, put your own oxygen mask on before you get to anyone else. Always a good move. That way you can actually help people instead of suffocating yourself before you suffocate them. If you hear me slurping on something, I got my little sleepy time tea. I'll get to that story here in a second. So I'm going to rewind it all the way to last week. So chiropractic school is in full swing. I had 2 tests last week. They both went very well. Kind of even up to like my old academic standard I had for myself back when I was, applying to and trying to get into Ivy League schools. So I got a 1A and 1B, and I got an A on a particularly, not necessarily difficult test, but something that other students I heard found challenging. So was definitely kind of sharing my preparation method with them and talking about like, hey, for the next test, let's get together. And I'll kind of share how I got an A on the test. So it felt good to, I am kind of like an elder statesman, being 33. A lot of these folks are just out of college. So yeah, making myself useful to my peers, and feels good to be succeeding. But by the time I got to Friday, typically I don't have class on Friday, but that test that I got the A on was Friday morning. Just randomly they decided to have it on Friday. It's cool. Kind of knew it was coming for a few weeks, so but I got done with that test and I just felt absolutely drained. Again, like physically, mentally, emotionally. I think in a way, the way I used to attack my work was by any means, basically. And this week, I resorted back to that a little bit. I had traveled to Austin the previous weekend and had a lot of fun, maybe a little too much fun. And being 33, it's hard to recover. So I kind of spent all week trying to catch up a little bit. And yeah, by the time I got through those 2 tests, I did well, but I kind of had to borrow some energy from the future, if that makes any sense. Using caffeine and other substances, you kind of just push through. You study, push, learn, sleep as best you can, and just survive. It's really a survival mode is what I'm describing. So yeah, all is well come Friday, but now's the time when, okay, hey, I'm in trouble. Like I know this feeling. I've felt it before. This is the beginning of burnout. if you let it get to that place. So lucky for me, it was Memorial Day weekend, 3-day weekend, and I just said, these 3 days are for me. So whatever I want to do, no major social gatherings, no, anything. Pretty much said no to everything. Went to the gym and went to the Russian sauna. The Russian sauna is a pretty cool thing that I've been doing. And basically it's a mixture of, Russian immigrants to the U.S. and just people who appreciate hot things. So like a 220 degree sauna and cold plunge and all that. And there's a restaurant in this place, very relaxing, good vibes all around. So great place to rest and relax and recover. And went full in on it. I read a book, a nonfiction book about the Russian banya and like the history of the Russian banya in Russia. And it had nothing to do with school, just reading for pleasure. Can't recommend it enough. So I really did recover well. And it's a good thing that I did, because the last 72 hours roughly have been fraught with issues. And so first and foremost, I believe it was Saturday night, the air conditioning in my apartment goes out. If you know anything about Dallas, Texas, now is about the time when it starts to be 90 degrees consistently. And that number is only going up. So air conditioning goes out. It was on Sunday, the maintenance folks came by and said, hey, your AC's out. I said, hey, I know. They're like, hey, would you like a window AC unit put into your apartment? I said, absolutely. Would love nothing more. But at this point, it was about 8 p.m. And I hadn't yet dealt with a full night of no AC. So I was still relatively hopeful, but also the guy said, we're going to fix the main AC. Hopefully can get the part on Tuesday. And so we'll try to help you out in the meantime. Well, that didn't happen. So Sunday night, I got a hotel in town, and I feel very grateful to be able to do that. I know there's a lot of folks out there that wouldn't be able to afford that, sneak that into the budget. I didn't get anything major too. It was like a $90, Courtyard Marriott. It's not like fancy or anything, but very safe, very comfortable, air conditioned, perfect. And it's good because Sunday I trained really heavy. Really had a good session training the clean movement, which was not my best or my favorite. So overall good day, good safe night in the hotel, all is kind of well. So get to Monday, and yeah, it's a holiday. So really I spent that whole day just trying to be in the sun as much as I can, being outside in the park, going to the banya again. And, well, actually I lied. It's not open on Monday, but I went to the sauna LA Fitness, so still technically did banya, but, and so at night I was kind of worried about, the sleeping situation, but I decided to try and tough it out at the house, at the apartment. And a combination of open windows and fans kind of made it work. Well, lightning strikes again. Literally, there's a massive storm in Dallas to the point where Dallas County DA and the judge declares a state of emergency. There's thousands of people without power. So in the middle of the night, not only do I not have AC, but now none of the power works. So all the stuff in my fridge is vulnerable. Can't cook, can't basically do anything at this apartment now. So all the amenities are dropping like flies. And woke up and just I was dripping sweat. It was so hot in there, because the fan was out. So now it's just the open window, and yeah, it was a mess. I woke up, drove to school, took a shower at the school gym, went to class, did my whole thing. And then after my first class, if any of you have been following along, I think I've mentioned in a previous podcast, I had a friend that I played high school football with pass away recently. A few months before that, there was someone that was older than me. He wrestled for my dad, who was the wrestling coach at our high school. Really, really good dude as well. Both passed away. And today, heard some news about another former teammate of mine who was younger than I that has passed away as well. It's just three, smart, athletic, full of life, basically people that have now passed away from my past. And, the through lines, of course, were played football or wrestled Division One, and all, intelligent, like smart people that kind of have it together. You'd expect to have it together. And I think when you're gifted in that way, it's easy to kind of expect a lot out of yourself. And I just know from my own experience of becoming a man in our country, it's tough, man. It's really tough. So seeing these guys go out like this, too early, having more to give, having families that they obviously wanted to contribute to, just breaks your heart. So yeah, that was earlier today. I found that out, and one is too many, three is far too many. And I'm definitely still processing all of that, but really my way of dealing with that grief is creativity and things like this podcast, being able to talk through, in some of the ways I feel like I am similar to those guys and, the ones that are still with us. Another story that came up the other night too was there's also a PGA Tour golfer, and I posted that on my Instagram story. To be honest, I haven't gone back to it because it's just been a lot of things going on. And the title of this podcast, I'm going to put it out there, but it's When It Rains, It Pours. So I actually am going to pull it up right now because his name deserves to be said. I follow this Australian comedy account. Like, these guys are on the radio. It's two guys. They usually say funny little quips, little jokes. And they're usually great one-liners. They do really well on the internet. And last night I got some kind of late night tacos. There's a gas station that has a great little taco spot inside of it, and super hyped that I found it. And as I was coming out, I had this Instagram story that they posted. It was a reel that they posted on their story about Grayson Murray. So he's my filibuster is over. He's a PGA Tour golfer formerly, that had been competing at a high level. Obviously, if you're on the PGA Tour, it's one of the most competitive sports in the entire world. The guys at the top are just unbelievable. And in life, life is a competition. You can approach it with kind of childlike energy and compete, and then also know that your whole worth isn't based on your ability to win, in that competition. Even sometimes losing, you learn lessons, you get better, and there's a lot of value in that too. And so another guy kind of around the same age as the other three folks I went to high school with, this guy specifically had committed suicide. So the two Australian guys, apart from their usual comedy routine, they started talking about Grayson Murray, and just how the host, it's called Jimmy and Nathan, they deal with anxiety and depression, and they started talking about a lot of different statistics, like 8 Australians a day commit suicide. And I just thought it was a really great post by them. Even though it is kind of a change up to what they usually do, it's important to talk about. So it really inspired me ultimately to, lean into that aspect of life a little bit more, and then to have, Tamani Carter is the one I, of the three, former Pickerington Tigers that I heard about today specifically. Again, like smart kid, went and played football at Michigan for a time, and just had his whole life ahead of him, and I think these successive events really just triggered something in me to want to kind of speak on this tonight. So as you can tell, whirlwind weekend. Sometimes life is a little bit crazy like that, but if I hadn't been conscious about my state of awareness on Friday and used the weekend to recover instead of party or avoid my feelings or whatever it may be, when it came to the last 72 hours, be a lot harder to handle. When you're tired, when your brain chemistry isn't correct, it's really hard to make a good decision. And so, like I said, I'm very thankful. I'm actually in a hotel again tonight. I'm recording this podcast in the hotel as we speak. And I got my sleepy time tea here, a little tea latte full of I think it's like honey, lavender or something. So I am nice and safe and sound because I leaned into hard feelings and I did the kind of internal work that is typically unseen when you do it. And there's a lot of people that do this very successfully all the time. And I think it deserves some praise because, if you're out here doing this work, either consciously or unconsciously all the time and keeping your life in order, go you. And if there's anyone out there that's struggling and you listen to this episode, please know you can reach out to me. Reach out to your family, reach out to your friends. Somebody, if you ask, hey, do you have the bandwidth to kind of hold something pretty heavy with me or for me? Odds are you're going to find one person. So do that. Tell someone before it gets to be too much. And yeah, that's my initial plea before I get into kind of the meat of today's episode. So this ability that I have to kind of be conscious and at learning how to really feel my feelings did not come easy. It came through a lot of work, and doing the work, continuing to do the work can be exhausting. But the best thing you can do is rest and get back to, quote unquote zero. Even though we'll talk about that in a second, zero might not exist. That's a whole different train of thought. We'll come back to that. So I want to start the meat of today's episode with the statement that feelings demand to be felt. If you are feeling a bad feeling, you really have two choices. One is avoid it, stuff it down. The other is feel it. And in my experience now, life is about 50% good and 50% bad. And the more you avoid bad feelings and kind of create good feelings in the present moment, the more bad's kind of coming down the pipe. You have to, if you feel bad in this moment, you kind of have to allow yourself to sit with it and have faith that good times are coming, because I can tell you that they are. That 50-50 rule, now that I've been paying attention consciously, is almost like a law in my brain. Adversity happens. There's a hellacious storm in Dallas and the power goes out on top of your already broken AC, and you got to go use your points to get a hotel room. Dude, it's fine. When I got to the hotel, I knew I wanted to record this podcast, which again is like another luxury that I'm thankful for. I'm thankful to be able to create. And I got here, my SD card was back at my apartment, and the implement I used to upload it to my computer. So this is all the audio data. So A, can't even record it, and B, couldn't upload to my computer if I tried. So obviously you're just like, fuck, I brought all of my stuff over here. I saved some food, like what food I wanted to save. I came and brought it and put it in the fridge here in the hotel. Thankfully didn't lose much food. Don't have much in the fridge because I'm a bachelor. A lot of frozen food, and thankfully I was almost out, so I need to go to the store soon anyways. So great move on my part for whatever reason, just not buying a lot of food. Kind of lost my train of thought. Getting off on too many tangents right now. If you can't tell, it's been a whirlwind, but you know, with everything that's going on, you can be pissed off. You know, of course I left my SD card at the place, but probably one of the most powerful things I've learned is self-compassion. So like, you're always going to screw up in life. Again, it's 50% good, 50% bad. And immediately my reaction was, okay, I'm going to go get this SD card because I really want to record this podcast. And on that drive, I'm going to listen to some throwback music from high school. Turned out to be Maroon 5. They randomly were playing it on the hockey game I was watching. PK Subban was talking and Maroon 5 was playing. I don't know, it was weird. So I get in the car, jamming out to Maroon 5, and I'm almost to my apartment. And right by my apartment, there's this huge shopping center, usually lit up like an airport. You know, I mean, just as bright as possible. And it was completely dark. So, I mean, not to say I'm happy that I'm not the only one with no power, because I'm not. I'm not happy that anyone's without power. But there's thousands of people right now in Dallas, like, to the point where they called it a state of emergency. And I don't think my problem's going to get fixed anytime soon. And to be honest, I'm out of hotel points at the moment. I've used all of the points that I have on this little debacle. So ultimately, again, like I said, I feel very fortunate because I know there's a lot of people that are staying in their houses, no power, no AC, and they weren't able to save their food, and they weren't able to get a hotel like me. They didn't have the points. They didn't have money. And that shopping center was so dark. It really, I mean, the traffic lights were dark. It really just puts it all in perspective. And that's kind of the second point I want to talk about tonight is just gain some perspective. If you're feeling a negative feeling, or you're feeling down, or drained, or like you went a little too hard in the paint, get some perspective on that. Why did this happen? You know, for me, I was pushing to get good grades, and I need to get good grades in school, but I also need to recover. And I know if I push to get good grades to the point where I start neglecting that recovery, I'm going to be in trouble. So I, at this point, have it really well managed. And it's important just to consciously continue to do that. But just being honest with yourself about, like, why is this happening? And also, you know, I'm not the only one, and some people have it worse. And once you get to that point, I mean, if you can't tell, I'm very thankful and grateful for the position I'm in. And I hope everyone kind of makes it out of this little debacle, you know, with not too many issues. You know, hopefully Dallas County gets this grid back up and running. The storm honestly was like, 80 mile an hour winds. It was honestly insane. Like, I haven't really seen a storm like that without a tornado. So, genuinely hope I didn't see anything about casualties. I hope everyone was safe. And again, very thankful to be chilling in this hotel room speaking to you. So that brings me to my next point. Adversity gives you the chance to be who you say you are. I probably said this before on a podcast, but so example for me, I want to be a chiropractic student. I want to be the best man I can be, supportive brother, son, uncle, all of my roles in life. I want to be the best man that I can be for those roles. And if I let, little situation like this, which I have the means to solve kind of for myself, trip me up and get me like all emotionally bent out of shape for more than just a moment. Obviously, it's normal to be upset, and you're not a robot. You want to, if you want to scream the F-bomb in the privacy of your own home for a second, like, fuck, that's cool. But then you have to redirect that. And the person who I say I am goes and gets the SD card, comes back here, records this podcast because I believe that there's at least one person that needs to hear this. Someone's going to listen to it and go, you're right. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I'm going to be who I say I am. So if that's who I'm trying to be, then that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this right now. And again, like tonight, I'm going to finish recording this. I'm going to upload the episode. I'm going to go to bed, and I got class at 9 a.m. So luckily it's remote. I can sit here in this nice hotel room, once again, safe and sound, and I can do my school day, from this hotel room until about, 1 p.m. I have to be on campus. So, really, really, really no complaints. And it's just like, take care of yourself and then take care of business. Be who you say you are. And you will be. If that's who I want to be, I'm being that. In every moment, I'm choosing to be that. So that statement kind of brings me to my next 2 points. Fourth point is, once again, time is love. That's a statement you'll probably hear me say often. What you spend your time doing should be what you love. If it's not, you should reevaluate. So me going to chiropractic school, me reaching out, texting the people that I love periodically, checking on them, making sure they're cool, making sure they know I love them. Spending time in the gym, spending time at the sauna, spending time in bed, making sure I get a nice hotel room with AC so I can sleep after hard training today. I'm loving myself through all of these little moments. Like, if you love yourself through every little moment of your day, the culmination of that is a very satisfied human being. I mean, you can be single and have no friends. And if you love yourself, you can make it pretty far. Like, you should, find a friend eventually. Find someone cool and invest some time in them. But you'd be surprised how far you can go just by yourself and doing it for you. And that's really the first person you should satisfy, because your ego will trip you up if you're, if you are abandoning yourself, your inner child, or whatever, however you want to say it. If you're abandoning yourself at all, I guess self-abandonment is maybe okay if there's really something you got to get done for your goals. The one want supersedes, a need supersedes a want in the way. But if you have a choice, don't abandon yourself. Love yourself in that moment, because you deserve it. Take care of yourself. That's really what self-care is, doing what's best for you, kind of self-parenting, I guess, too, if you want to call it that. Just keep using the psychological jargon. At the end of the day, you got to do it for yourself. And then, like the oxygen mask analogy, then you can do it for others. but you really fill up your cup, you're going to be so full you can't help but give it to someone good. Someone good comes along and, you can be their friend or their lover or their family member, whoever. So, taking a breath. Because I get on my pulpit and I get a little crazy. So kind of the other part that came off of that Be Who You Say You Are piece is the moment right now is so powerful. It's like loving yourself in this moment and also just like choosing to be here. Earlier today I had some pretty uncomfortable moments. I mean, one was like right kind of towards the end of my workout, I always feel my energy crash. That's kind of how I know it's over. I was doing some deadlifts and I'm like, man, these drop sets, I really don't want to do them. But you got to get through, just have a couple more sets left, get through them, and then go get your protein shake, get your stretching in, get a banana. It's typically great post-workout fruit that I imbibe in. Imbibe, I don't think that's the right word. But I enjoy them. And through those uncomfortable moments, like just choose to be here. Don't try to be anywhere else. Because again, it's always 50% good, 50% bad. If you're feeling a bad feeling in the moment, honestly, to keep it with exercise. I was doing those deadlifts, didn't really want to be there anymore. Finished what I needed to do for science, because science said that's how many reps and sets I should do to get stronger, and I've seen it work before, so I'm committed. Drink my protein, eat my banana, and I started doing pigeon pose from yoga. I'm really like stretching my hips, and this is, especially the right side, is very, very tight for me. And I just did not want to be in that pose anymore. But then immediately when I was done with that, done with all my stretching, I laid down on the mat in Shavasana, which is corpse pose in yoga, for those who don't know. And that is basically a death meditation. So you're laying on your back, and oftentimes in that moment, your body releases, different chemicals, neurotransmitters, happy hormones, whatever you want to call them. And you feel good, even though you're kind of like doing a memento mori moment and you're reminding yourself that life is impermanent. So it's kind of funny in a way. Because I'm sitting there just feeling all these great feelings, like, oh, I'm done with my workout, my belly's full, my hip feels better because I stretched it real deep, and you just let those chemicals flow in your body and just enjoy it and just be there. And like I went through all of that uncomfortable feeling earlier, so that I knew like at the end of my workout I'm always going to get that flow of endorphins. And that's really a metaphor for life. It's anything. I was in class most of the day and didn't really, I was enjoying the lectures, but, at a certain point you just kind of are like, all right, I'm done now. I learned all I can learn for the day. And took a break, ate some lunch, went back, took a test, got a B on it, like just a little a weekly quiz thing. And, I wanted to take it again and get an A. And I just said, you know what? Today's pretty heavy. I'm going to take the B. Like, getting an A on this test gets me less than a percentage point in this class. I don't really care in this moment. Another week when I'm maybe not so overloaded or overwhelmed in the moment, maybe I would go back and try to chase that percentage point, but I'm okay with it. So yeah, all of that to say, be here now. And the kind of hand in hand with that, like not moving on to the next topic yet, but don't chase. Like be here. Like don't chase things. If you are who you say you are, and you are putting your gift towards some type of goal, like people are going to notice. And they're going to come to you. It's not to say you can't ever say hi or reach out to someone new, but just don't chase, say hi, give a compliment, but then let it live. And if the person wants to return it, they want to come around, great. Continue that interaction. But if you can tell someone's not interested, no matter how bad you think you want it, it's not for you. And your happiness resides in this moment, no matter who's around. It could just be you. Like I said, you could be by yourself. But if you're loving yourself through every moment, you're going to be a pretty happy person. And eventually, I swear, someone will come along. They will match your energy, and they will be around. And this is something that happens to me repeatedly. Like even strangers, people I never going to talk to again. They're just there for me in a 30-second exchange. We smile, we walk away. So not forcing, just being here, not desiring the next moment to be any different. Slow down. Slow down. And that's a perfect segue into the next point. We're about 36 minutes into the episode, so we're going to be finishing up here in about the next 10 or so. So it brings me to my last two topics and then a little summary, a little conclusion. I want to talk about escapism. Obviously, I keep saying be here now. What's the opposite of that? What does the opposite of that look like? What's my experience with that? When I say don't chase, I mean people. I've seen it a lot in when I just observe other people's relationships, friendships, romantic, family, and in turn have been able to kind of corral my ego enough to look into my own relationships and the past relationships, and I really can start to see them for what they are. And what I see most commonly, I think, is using other people as an escape, or an escape, and maybe even more accurately, is an excuse to not be our highest self. Maybe getting let off the hook, not having to be accountable because you pick someone that developmentally might be just a step behind you, and it just gives you that little incentive to stay on their level. And this is kind of back to the you're the sum or the average of the 5 people you associate with most. Going back to last season, 5 people you meet in heaven. You can escape from your problems by hanging out with someone that you may have outgrown. Someone that you dearly want to join you in maturity and growth. And if you are a growth-minded person, unfortunately, you're probably going to outgrow some people. And this isn't an ego-driven, like, I'm so much better than them. Like, no, it's just, drinking alcohol over Memorial Day weekend is not for you. But you go back and you go to that rooftop party. It's a pool party. It's fun. You get drunk. Next thing you know, you're 3 days into a hangover. And it wasn't worth it. Now your schoolwork or your work is suffering. Your mental health is suffering. And then your AC goes out, your power goes out. A friend from your past dies. Now you're in a bad spot. Your brain chemistry is not in a good place. Kind of the opposite of what happened to me. So it's a slippery slope. One, again, like loving yourself in each moment, knowing what's right for you and not letting other people pull you into their choices. I think groupthink is fairly dangerous. And it is comforting to be able to hang out with people who remind you of good times, who you have good times with. And it's not to say that you can't be friends with them, but you just cannot compromise your standards when you're with them. And there's a way to interact with them that honors where you're at and honors where they're at, and it can still be good. I promise. I think a lot of times what happens is we get stuck in that vortex, the people vortex, as like some spiritual folks would call it, like the sea of illusion. And just putting, again, time is love, putting all your time and effort in someone who is not ready or prepared to kind of love you back the way you need. And, you know, it's like, hey, I'm not drinking this weekend. Oh, that's lame. You know, there's like, you know, peer pressure happens, or like I see it so much all the time. You get around family, you go to a specific restaurant, you name it. I've had all kinds of clients with all kinds of excuses. And I can empathize because it's hard to be alone, to like, you know, do it for yourself. And like I said, you kind of have to lone wolf it for a while before your people find you. So don't let yourself get comfortable. And on that note of kind of being alone till your people find you, this is where we get into the final piece of today's episode, which is substances or inanimate objects as an escape. It could be substances, could be like things like porn. For men, I know a lot is an issue. Anything that gets that dopamine cycle going. Could be vaping, could be, you name it. All kinds of things out there. And for me, especially in my past, the past like week or so, you know, I noticed a few extra pounds on the scale, and I have been down to the lowest weight I've been in years, in a decade, honestly. So again, if I'm not in a good space mentally, I see that and I could freak out. But I also can see that and know what happened. When I went to Austin, I drank alcohol and ate a lot of food, more food than I'd been eating for weeks. So really, that's a simple equation. A plus B equals C. I know what happened. And this week I fixed it, and the scale returned to normal. So that's mine. Has historically been food. It's been a little bit alcohol at times. Alcohol is not really like a problem, but it's been a problem at specific times, like binge drinking seldomly. And so that's something I pretty much completely cut out. And even this time in Austin, didn't have a hangover, didn't drink too much, but drank more than I intended to. I could be honest about that. So, wasn't hungover, but it affected my body. Like my liver had to process that alcohol, even if I wasn't hungover by like feeling. It still wasn't good for me. And I think that's okay every now and then, you know, a couple times a year. But genuinely, I have no plans on doing that, you know, for a long time. I could see, honestly, a point where the next time I would have a drink would be like a glass of wine in the holidays. So right now it's like the end of May. So we're talking 6 months away. But there's other substances too that I think people get in a lot of trouble with. Some really powerful substances. I saw an Andrew Huberman kind of post on Instagram, I think, and he was talking about methamphetamine and like Adderall, even either illegal meth or the prescription kind. It's like 1,000% of baseline on the dopamine, like some kind of dopamine scale, and sex is like 200%. So we're talking that methamphetamine is like 5 times better than sex. So if your girl is on If your girl's on Adderall, she does not need you. Or she might try to mix them and get, 1,200%. Who knows? I don't know if that's how it works. I have to ask Huberman. But substances are and people can cause dopamine too. Like I just said about sex, whether it's you're watching porn or you're having sex with a partner or someone strange, whatever, these chemicals get flowing and it's very powerful. And it can honestly help you bury your feelings. But like I said, that's kind of like, in a way, I think of it as time traveling. So let's say I had the day I had today, and tonight I smoked a giant blunt and then ate a bunch of food that I shouldn't have been eating. Like I ordered a pizza. And like, pizza's really not on my menu right now, for a lot of reasons. But, and then I'm swiping on a dating app and a girl comes over. Like, so now I'm like, smoking weed with a girl, eating a pizza, and maybe having sex. All of these things are just covering up all the shit that happened today. And the shit that's happened to me in the last 72 hours. So I know it sucks. Really, I think the toughest part of this is I spent the whole weekend recovering from shit from last week. And then life happens and piles more shit on your plate. And now you have to spend time kind of recovering from that. And it generally isn't fair. Like, life's not fair. But how to make it less fair is to time travel. Again, have the pizza, have these different things, sex, the weed, get high, all that requires energy that I don't have. So I'm borrowing from tomorrow's energy. So when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to have that weird fog you have after you smoke. At least I do. I wake up, my brain feels a little funny. That girl came over, whatever came of that sexual energy was exchanged. Now, don't have that either. So I can't summon that to, get my work done tomorrow. And I ate a whole pizza. So now metabolically, I'm all off in my chemistry. And basically I'm just a mess. And then now I'm supposed to recover from all the stuff that happened. Like, you're in an even worse position to recover. You're putting yourself just even more of a deficit. So I think I'd rather stop it early, quickly, and focus on how do I get back to zero and how do I have faith that something good is going to happen. So maybe instead of tonight having pizza and girl and marijuana, maybe I ask a girl on a date later in the week and I lay off the substances and it's not pizza. Maybe we don't eat. Maybe we go to a movie. And okay, yeah, you want popcorn? Sure, I'm not having any. It's cool. But I can always have soda at the movie theater, like a Diet Coke. That's a good move. So I can still hang out with that girl, have those good times, but do it in a way where I'm having Diet Coke. I'm not consuming a bunch of extra calories. No weed involved. Still fun. And it's just like playing a little bit in the future. It's okay. Get over what's happening now. Go out on Friday. Friday would be a perfect day for me this coming weekend, and maybe that's what I'll do. Who knows? So just a good example of how you might structure your life in your recovery. And I keep saying the word recovery. It's like, what do you call it when an alcoholic, goes to rehab? They're like, hey, I'm in recovery. Well, yeah, you could have been in recovery for a short period of time when the first, bad thing happened. But then you let it compound and drink on top of it and stuff it way down until you have a nervous breakdown. So this is just my method and my theory for dealing with things that come up in my life. And again, knowing it's 50-50, odds are something bad's going to happen, something good's going to happen, and that cycle is going to repeat over and over and over. Sometimes it's multiple bad things in a row, and then you see multiple good things happen in a row. And You're not entitled to good things happening. But I will say, if you are who you say you are and you're using your gifts in the world, good things will happen. Like, I can almost guarantee it. I can't exactly guarantee it, but I can almost guarantee it. The 50-50 rule is pretty damn close to 50-50. And, bad things happen. Good people die young. Like, there's a lot of tragedy that happens in the world, but there's an equal amount of good, and we have to fight for the good. You have to be here to do that. So again, if you're feeling down, reach out to someone, feel those feelings, get through it, get back to zero, and then plan something good with people that you love. And if something's not working for you, don't keep doing it. I know I'm making it sound like it's super simple, and it's really simple kind of in theory, but I'm telling you, this is a practice. That's why I love chiropractic school, because your medical practice, it's a practice because people are coming through the door. No person is the same. You're practicing your skills in diagnosing and treating these issues. That's really how life is too. That's how a yoga practice is. Really, your whole life is kind of a yoga practice in a way. It's you practicing being who you say you are. And the better you get at it, again, the more good's going to happen. And maybe that scale will even tip 60-40, good to bad. You just never know. But I'd rather have a chance of 60-40, good to bad, than to not be here. I focus on the bad and get into a really bad spot mentally and brain chemically to where there's ever a chance that I would not be here. So if you're listening, I hope you feel that same way. Again, I hope you reach out if something is wrong, either to me or to someone who can help you, someone who agrees to help you. It's really important. I think you should ask permission. Like, for example, like something really heavy is weighing on my mind. Do you have the bandwidth to hear about it either now or tomorrow or whatever? And again, just like pause and like have patience, like feel the feelings and wait it out. That's really all like life is just waiting it out to the next scenario. I know I have class at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Once I finish this and I upload it, that's my next scenario. So like, what am I going to do for most of that time? I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep really good in this nice hotel room, and I'm very grateful for. So bringing it all back to the beginning, people and substances can be used as an escape, are commonly used as an escape, especially in our modern society. But your feelings demand to be felt. Feeling them ensures they don't get stored in your nervous system and become deep trauma that then causes physical, mental, emotional health issues. And more importantly, probably most importantly, this is what I'm going to leave you on in this episode. You have to keep your heart open and you have to keep it soft. You cannot let it harden. That 50% bad will try to harden, or your natural reaction will be to protect yourself and clam up and close yourself off from life. But a wall to protect yourself is also a prison wall. It also keeps you in, and then you're not there to do good. So as painful as it can be, you got to keep yourself open, and you got to shine that light that you have. And that's like what I'm doing here with this podcast as much as I can. Keep it open, shine it, because someone needs it. And I think the people that we've lost along the way are proof. Sometimes I think, what would this person have done had I did this podcast and they heard it before they got to a place where their brain chemistry was such that they couldn't make a better choice. And it's really important because there's people that are here, they're still here right now, that could hear this and make a better decision. So that's me inviting you to make a better decision. Keep your heart open. We all suffer. We all have bad moments in life. You're not alone. Just keep it open. Wait it out. Feel the feelings. I promise the good is coming. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know how big. And you most certainly are not entitled to it. But if you are who you say you are and love yourself in every moment, you do deserve it. So just keep that in the front of your mind and keep going. Until next time, this is Blaine signing out.